Kahalaoweke is the name of a famed hala grove on the east side of Maui in Hana, but I composed this song to be a mele no ka poe nala papale lauhala, which is a song for the people who weave hats of lauhala or pandanus leaves. In Kahalaoweke, I describe various place names that are found in Hana. I talk about the natural phenomena of winds and rains in that area. But as a Haku mele, we're trained to embed our songs with deeper meanings. You won't necessarily learn how to weave a papale or a hat through this mele, but I encode mnemonic devices within the mele that will allow weavers to remember how to weave hats, the steps that accomplished or even beginning weavers can draw upon. One thing that I wanted to memorialize through this mele is the name of the famed grove Kahalaoweke. Here on Maui, we're currently experiencing a type of blight called the pandanus scale or the hala scale. And because of that, the largest hala grove on Maui, Kahalaoweke, is now critically endangered. In the first verse, I basically talk about how famed the grove is there and how it flirts across Hana Bay with the other grove of Mapuena, which is where Ka'ahumanu was born. I talk about how over this hono, over this bay, that the two groves are joined, with Kahalaoweke on one side of Hana Bay or Ka Pueo Bay, and Mapuena on the other side of Ka Pueo Bay. Weavers will know that represents the ku and the moist strands that we weave with. Here on Maui, the word for weaving is more commonly called nala, and on the other islands, it's ulana. So in the first verse, the very first line, it says, Kaulana kahalaoweke kahiki nala. Kaulana can mean famous, but it also means the weaving. And hiki nala means the ability to weave, of course, in the Maui way of speaking. The different sun references that you'll find throughout this mele refer to enlightenment that comes with weaving, of course, and it kind of alludes that knowledge and enlightenment can be found in this song. The second verse, Ho'ohaunu hanaya kaihua kala. In that line, it talks about the haunu steps, which are the adding steps, and how we increase the size of our papale from the pa outward. Kaihua kala refers to the corners that we have to add the haunu strands in to increase the size of the pa. And we always move in a circuit, and that's the po'aipuni. I named the Q wind in this verse because it does mean to spy, and hana means alert, and they were always alert for the spies coming from Kohala or the Big Island. Weavers, when they see a papale, the first thing they do is flip it over and they spy, they cue to see how people added. It distinguishes lineages, and they try to look to see the different techniques that perhaps they themselves don't know. The different ha'i that you'll see within this mele, including in this verse, speaks about the bends that we give to the strips of hala as we weave them. The first ha'i talks about once we weave the flat pa of the hat, we bend down over the ipu. And then the cliff that the waters of Punahua spill over refers to the cliff-like sides of the ipu or the hat block as we're weaving. In the third verse, Kiki imoku hanui ka ehu o ke kai awalalua I kalai o nanu alele. That's actually lines that I drew from a more well-known chant for the moku of Hana. It talks about how when we are ready to add the string row, we have to actually add more mau'u, more strands while weaving. And then the string row is talked about in pu kaula kai halulu I kahu akai. Pu kaula can also mean where the cord draws things together. Ha'imoi poikapolio ka'uiki is another ha'i, another bend, from which the brim will now extend. In the fourth verse of Kahalaoweke, I encode some of the beings or the entities that are important to hala weavers. One is the very first puhala, the very first hala tree, and his name was Ohiohi Kupua. So in the first line I encode his name, O Kawaiho Ohiohi Kupua Lau. And then one of the akua for weavers is Lauhuki, and her name is included in the first and second line. Kupua lau huki hi'iwei kaloi ka ili ili. And so the last verse speaks about the ending movements that we do to weave a hat. The closing edge of hats or of any type of weaving process is the hi'i. And it talks about how we pull the hi'i close together and we stack the ma'u on top of each other. All of that is included in huki hi'iwei kaloi ka ili ili. And then when we add designs to a hat, you only appreciate those designs fully once the hi'i process is completed. And so designs are called ho'oheno. And so ha'ina ho'oheno I ka papa, I ka lele huna huna maya ka uakea. So the designs are alluded to in that line. And even that we have completed a hat in this process is in there. I split the word papale up between the words I ka papa, I ka lele huna huna maya ka uakea. And the fine misty spray, the huna huna, alludes also to secrets. And so astute listeners and weavers will be able to tell that this is a mele no ka po'e nala papale lauhala, a song for weavers of hats.